Okay, so March 7th. So we are going to do setting type for the web font linking with that font face, and talk about BioPage 2 today. We may not get through the whole lecture today. If we don't, we're just going to keep on going into lecturing on Thursday. So show up or punk out and watch the video. You bastards that just punk out and watch the videos, man. Seriously.
Why do you look at me
The people,
when you say that?
well, you've been here, but you guys know who you are that are watching this and don't show up for class, and I hope you feel really, really guilty. And yes, I will buy you a camera for that guilt trip. I will, right? So then next week we'll have a full open lab week, and then your final presentation will be held Tuesday, March 21st from 2 p.m. to 3:20 right here in good old 5104. Yes, ma'am.
Oh, so you should come to the winter showcase at the Erickson Theater next week.
What's that?
That's I don't know if other people are involved, but like I take drama class, so we'll be performing.
Post it in the Seattle Central group.
Yeah, there's an event on Facebook that I can share.
So today what we're going to be doing is converting then your BioPage 1, where are you? BioPage 1. BioPage 1, and then let me open up my BioPage 1 demo that I did. So we're going to be converting what we basically did here into HTML, okay? So your BioPage 2 then, as an example, if we were to look at that as an example, here is kind of my modified one that I've modified over the years. It's incomplete in terms of it doesn't have the bullets in there. The bulleted list items are the numbered list items. But what I need to do is, what we need to do is take however you specified this out and convert it then to being an HTML page. So this is a good exercise in, hey, look, I specified all this stuff, font size Arial black, 36 pixel, over leading, 36 pixel, space before, 0. Space after, 4 pixel. Font Arial regular, et cetera, et cetera. Column size, then I did not specify the column size on here because I did this in class. So if our column size was in the old one, then the column size that I used was 500 pixels, right? So I'm going to use a 620 pixel column this time around. Okay, so for all of you that were like, oh man, I wish you would have recorded that whole SVG thing. How many of you really wish I would have recorded converting the SVG file? Who knows what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's a good question to ask your students. Who knows what I'm talking about?
I think you said that you were going to do that after, because I asked you.
Right.
And then you said
So guess what I'm going to do now?
recording.
That. So
The SVG. Yeah.
the SVG. So here I go. if I start out with my logo specification, legacy artboard, okay. Fine fonts, I don't need that. So I'm going to save this as then logo type. Final, why not? Final, no, this is the final. No, really, this is the old final. This is the new final. Who names their stuff like that? Old, super old,
Yeah.
wicked oldest, new, new 2, new 3. Okay, this is the newest one.
Final 1, final 2.
Right,
final
right.
whatever.
Exactly. So here I go. Again, I am then going to delete artboard 2. I am also then going to
Were you able to zoom or something? I mean,
the whole thing.
it's 'cause
No.
it's light in here.
Yeah. Bring the artboards over here. Close that. Window layers. Layers are open, but they're always hidden from me. I'm going to put the U in the same thing there.
But you're recording this one.
Yes, I'm recording this. I'm going to stick you right there. Layers. So I am going to turn off the specs layers. I'm going to delete that. Yes. Crops. I'm going to delete that. Yes. I am then going to select all and group so it's all on one layer, right? So in other words, if you see that this is red here and this is blue there, it's because, has anybody ever noticed the color coding over here?
Yeah.
Okay, so if I then select all and group it, it's just going to group it to one layer. Right, and this is where I'm just going to rename the layer logo. I'm going to select the text layer, delete that. Now, this is where then if you are going to save as an SVG, you need to rename your artboard. And I'm going to just name it logo. Final, no. I'm just kidding. I'm just going to
Super
name
final.
it super final. Just name it logo, right? And this is where then, thanks to Adam, who found the under object artboards, I have to select the art first. Artboards fit to selected art. Bang, right? So now we have our artboard is right trimmed around the actual piece of art so that, well, you're doing your observation, aren't you? Oh. Should I call you a bastard? I shouldn't. Should I call you any names?
Call me bastard.
Yeah. So Adam is doing, he's on my tenure committee, so he's doing his class observation right now. So technically I have to be nice to him. So thank you, Adam, for showing us this trick. You're such a useful TA to us. I'm really sorry I couldn't find you to buy you coffee today, but
Should be all font.
then export for screens. Okay, so when I export for screens, then format, SVG, right? Choose a folder. This is where now I want to make a new folder, bio page 2, what are we, winter 17 right now? Good, winter 17. So I'm going to create a new folder. In that folder, then, no, don't create it in there. Create it over here. I'm not a fan of this mode of viewing. I like using that mode. So let's go back to Documents, create new folder, Bio, Page, Winter 17, page 2, Winter 17. Creates, and in this folder, then I want to create an images folder, right? Because that's typically what we do. Create, choose, export artboard. And so now in my images folder, I have my logo SVG. And if I decided to open that up in Chrome, woo, yay, it's the SVG. So going back to then setting type for the web. Well, setting type for the web. Basically, what we need to do is this little screenshot of me basically using a HTML and CSS to then take the specifications, the master art file, if you will. Those of you that are in Web 200 or have taken, how many of you are in Web 200, right? So when you did your wireframes and your visual designs, right? You did your, you had to lay things out to specifications, et cetera, and now you're in the process of converting. So this is also now an exercise in, like I said, recreating an HTML document from a document that you specified, meaning I have a 500 pixel column. Let's say I'm using Arial Black, 36 pixel, leading 36, etc. So this is where then we need to follow our typographic traditions and use size, leading, space before and space after to set our type properly, right? As well as sitting it in a column, again, adhering to readability standards. So how many characters per line should you not go over?
80.
80, right? You should keep it to 70-ish, right, at the tops. But like I said, between 40 and 80 is a nice readable zone for characters per line. So says Mike Sinkula. So what we need to do, obviously, then, is use a proper markup, right? All of you are, how many of you are actually in Web 110 right now? Okay. How many of you are in Web 120? Okay. Those of you that are in Web 120, what I might be going through right now is probably a review of Web 110 for you. So you should probably be able to keep up. Those of you that are in Web 110, hopefully you're like, yeah, I know how to do that. I can do that. Yeah, that's not that hard, right? We then want to use a style sheet to style our page. And again, notice in the style sheet, we are going to use this @FontFace property where we are going to grab fonts from our server to load into our page, okay? And we're going to use, I'm going to use Arial Standard Black is mine. So the properties that we want to use then are font size, line height. I'm not really so concerned about letter spacing, right? But if we wanted to space things out, we could use letter spacing. Pretty much text align. If you don't declare text align, it's going to default to left align text, right? So we're going to leave it probably aligned left. And then space before and space after. Unfortunately, I forgot to put padding top here. But remember, we're going to use padding top and margin bottom, and I'll show you why when we get there. So what we need now is, I need some lorem ipsum text. So I'm going to grab this. And I am going to open, do we have text edit on these machines? Let's see. I want to make just a rough text file. Applications. Text edit. There we go. Paste. Select all, format, make plain text, convert this. Yes, that's what I want. Okay. So, where was the, okay. I am just going to grab that and copy that. I'm going to go to brackets, right? How many of you use brackets? Good. Close this. I'm going to say new. Here's where I'm going to start typing. I'm going to actually paste that lorem ipsum down here just for time being. Oh, yay, typing on HTML. Then I want an opening head tag. I want a closing tag. I want an opening. Oops. Got my HTML tag. Do opening head tag, closing head tag.
Supposed to be a closing HTML.
Not yet. Well, yes. You're right. I should always, when I open one thing, let's start this over again. You're right. When I open HTML, right? I should close it, right? HTML here, opening head tag, closing head tag, HTML. Why am I not getting the color coding? Probably because I haven't saved it. Let's see. Save as. Index.html in BioPage documents. Open that up. Documents, BioPage 2. Save. There we go. Now I got colors.
Could you zoom in?
Good. So opening HTML, closing HTML, opening head, closing head, body, opening body, X, closing body, all right?
How important is the title tag?
Well, let's say it like this. Every document should have a title tag. I'll say it like that. So pretty much. Bio, page 2, premium, design, works. Then I need my, oops, that character set, car set, UTF-8, right? In other words, I want to make sure that this document follows, what does UTF actually stand for? I can't remember. Whatever it stands for. Use this fucking 8.
That is probably.
That's probably not what it stands for.
Unicode transformation format.
Fantastic. Right. In other words, it tells the browser what character set to use. Okay.
What's the 8?
Yeah, Mike.
I don't know.
What is it?
I take this shit for granted. Andrea.
Well, it's probably 8-bit color. If it's uniform transfer.
8-bit.
what
You
is
should
it?
know that, Mike.
I know, I should know that. I know. Are you putting this in my review that I don't know what UTF-8 is?
I don't think it's relevant anymore. We use it. But what, are they gonna update it?
No. I am then going to, in here, I am going to use an internal style sheet. XCSS. Very important here. You ready for it? Media all. Why media all?
Accessible in all devices.
What?
Accessible or seen the way you want it to in all devices.
Correct. So, for instance, I go to my GitHub. Repositories. Has anybody ever printed out any of my lectures to take notes on? One person? Print out assignments? Huh?
Didn't know you could- What, the lecture?
Well, let's say it
Oh,
like
okay.
this. If I wanted to, if I was a good student, right? I would look at bio page 2 and I would say, ooh, look at that, big, bold, and red. I must create my own document from scratch. Do not just reuse my document. And people still reuse my document, and then I tell them I'm going to fail them if they don't do it from scratch, and then they usually do it from scratch. So let's say I wanted to print this, right? And if I went to print this, oh, look at that. Look how nicely it prints, right? I don't have the navigation items. I don't have the sidebar, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? Well, why does it do that? So who's printing while I'm talking?
Didn't you just press?
Yeah, I did. I did.
Oh, that's going in.
It's going in my review. So if then we say media all, right? How that specifically relates is when we get to doing responsive design, we are using media queries to say at media screen, so it'll render on screen. As well, because I used a print style sheet, meaning I said at media down here, print, this at the bottom then overwrites or tells grid, header, nav, sidebar, comments box to display none important. What does the important mean? Declaration. Who can tell me? See, it's good that I'm doing this review stuff, isn't it?
It's weird because
Yeah, come on up here.
I just saw that today and I was so curious what it meant.
What does important do?
I have no idea.
Makes it important.
It makes
No, what it actually does in a practical sense is now anywhere I have called out grid, header, nav, sidebar, comments box and set it to display whatever, important will override it anywhere in the CSS chain, right? So even if this right here comes before another declaration, right? The important is the king of the declaration, right? Or it is the declaration that takes
it
precedence.
overrides.
Overrides everything, right? Does that make sense? So therefore, you will see me doing a lot of stuff like this in my style sheets, where if I am using a plugin, right? If I'm using a plugin that has its own style sheet, right, that I'm importing into my WordPress, file, then if I use the important declaration here, this will overwrite the one in the plugin file. Does that make sense? So that's how I use the important one.
I did notice that with printing your pages, that worked, and I wondered how you did it.
Yeah.
Because it's really very nice for the person using the webpage.
Right.
Get on the garbage.
Right, and that's called usability. Useful. Oh, right. Take notes on that. No scowling. Cool. Okay. So that's where then using media all, right? So now I've put my internal style sheet in there. I need to then start doing the rest of my markup. I'm gonna do my H1 tag. This is where then I'm gonna have an image tag. Source, that's not how you spell source. Images, logo, SVG, right? Alt. And these works, right? What is lorem ipsum? H2. Oops, X. Okay, lorem ipsum P X. Close P, open P. P. Where does it come from? This is where then I want to do the H3. And again, I'm using an H1 tag for my logo, right? You can choose to use whatever you want for your logo. I've just always used an H1 and just
Is
kind of.
that typically how it works?
There's 3 schools of thought. One, use an H1 for your logo because that's the master headline of your page.
Should be the first thing.
2, yeah, don't use the H1 for your logo because it's not the master headline for your page. What's the master headline for your page is we go to one of my blog postings. This is the master headline for your page that then shows up in your title tag, right? 3, make your logo on your home page an H1 and all the rest div tags or span tags or whatever. So those are the 3 schools of thought. The argument against using an H1 tag for your logo is if you use this as an H1 tag, your SEO is going to be better, right? So I'll buy into that. That's fine, right? But my SEO is just fine, and that's an H2. And my logo,
Oh, okay, so you're just defining it as an H2.
yeah, and my logo is an H1. So again, it's up to you how you want to do it, right? Does that make sense? So I'm just going to go along with this and do it like this. Because if you think about it, right, this alt tag there, alt attribute, Premium Design Works, is the master headline. But is it really? It's up for debate, right? I haven't taken any hit on SEO that I can see. I'm going to leave it that way. Do I think that's correct? I don't fucking know, right? I know the 3 schools of thought, right? And that's still being debated out in the webosphere as far as I know, right? Notice though that while Adam is reviewing me, unlike when Jill was here, I don't watch my language when Adam's here.
Can you write that down?
P-tag.
So this one's due on Friday, the bio page two.
No, bio page due is due end of finals week.
The business
Bio page
card.
1,
Was due last.
but then you have an extra week.
This week it's the
this week is
business
the
card.
business card.
So we go back to the schedule.
Do this every time.
I know.
So wait, we go back.
Today is this week, right? So your business card was technically due last week, but I gave you another week. Logo transfer, move it down to end of next week. Bio page 2, still due at the end of finals week. Got it?
And it's always Friday, right?
Yes. Because, Andrea, do I check things on Fridays?
Right before 3 p.m.
Right before 3 p.m. How many emails have you gotten from me saying, look, I checked this, scare people?
At least 2.
At least 2.
Except for the one on finals week. Right?
Janine.
What?
That's right, hide. Okay, getting back to what we should be talking about, you guys. P-tag. Don't distract me. I'm easily distracted, people. Come on, be cool. And again, do you guys see that I'm using lorem ipsum text that is actually about lorem ipsum? The history of lorem ipsum? That's pretty awesome, isn't it? Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna have to make this into a text file and put it on my server because it's really wicked awesome. Established facts, P. Oh, it's the wrong spot. Put your P. Anybody see Stephen Colbert last night? He made some PP jokes
Oh,
Say
I
this
saw
proudly.
that.
about how P stands for Putin, and it was
That was-
dripping down on Trump.
That
It's really.
was very good.
Stephen Colbert is pretty goddamn awesome. And if you notice, I am talking about something completely unrelated while I am typing, and I can do those two things at the same time. So I am not wasting time by talking about something else. It's either that or just be totally quiet while I am typing this. All right, so let's take a look at our document. Bio page 2, winter index. Yay! It looks horrible. In other words, we need to start styling this, right? So if I should have put 620 as the column size, right? Like declaring the column size. So let's pretend that I had put, well, you know what? Let me just do it right now. Stroke, arrowheads. Right. schools. Window swatches. Think aloud protocol. Anybody get that joke? If you've taken the research methodologies class, you get that joke. If you have not, you don't get that joke. So take it so you get that joke. So if I had a 620 pixel, right, centered aligned column, how am I going to get a centered aligned column? Here, what do I do?
CSS, you call out the column width.
How?
Create a rule.
Kind of rule. First, what I want to do is do a CSS reset. Chart selector. I want to reset margins to 0 and padding to 0. If I was following the bootstrap box model, does anybody know what I'm talking about? Border size, is it border size? No. Is it border? No, border box. God damn it, what is the bootstrap thing? Box size, border box?
So you columns and
Box
Size and
box sizing, border box. That's the bootstrap one. Where this reverses the box model. So if we look at the box model, right? Box model, and we go to W3 schools. The box model, content on the inside, padding, border, margins, right? So if we then have if we call a width, we then have to take the padding out of the width that we call. Who knows what I'm talking about? If you use this box model, it puts the padding on the outside of the width, so you don't have to remove it from the overall visual width. And same with borders. I'm going to delete that for now. I'm not going to use that right now. So I can do one of two things. I can put a containing div around all this code if I wanted to, right? Or because I'm just on a white background and I don't have to have things go all the way out to the edges and I don't have to center other things in it like I do in WEB200, I can simply at this point in time use the body tag to create that containing element. Does that make sense? Right. So body tag. Width or max width? Max width. Why?
Because if we are looking at it in a mobile device,
Correct.
or if on a bigger monitor.
So if we're looking at this bio page here, right? Max width. So I'm going to say max width 620 pixels, right? So now if I do that, great. Everything adheres to that max width aligned to the left. How am I going to get it to center? How am I going to get it to center?
You created
Align center?
margin.
Text align center. If I did text align center, let's see what happens.
Margin 0.
Do this first. So if I did text align center on that element, what it's going to do is it is going to change all the children elements to text align center. So text align center does not center the element with which you place text align center upon, right? It'll do that to the children elements. So I could possibly do this I have a parent element of an HTML tag. But it's then going to inherit all the children for text, right? And notice it didn't do anything on that. Did I save it?
Create a box and make it margin 0.
Right. So instead, what I'm going to do is, Nicole has the right answer. Center it, I want to say margin. I don't want any top or bottom margins on my body tag at this point in time. I could if I wanted to. So I could write it out shorthand 0, auto, 0, auto.
But you only have to take 0 out of ones.
Right, I was about to say that.
Yep, I was gonna say that.
So this is the trouble way of writing something. Top, right, bottom, left. But if we wanted to say top, right, bottom, left, if we wrote it like this, right? Top, right, bottom, left is the shorthand. Okay? So if now I say max width 620, right? And let's say then I want to, so let's now fresh, right? So that'll put things in the center. So if now I want padding all the way around, and save it, right? This is where the box model comes into play. Watch what happens. You might not have seen it, right? But as it comes in, is that truly 620, right? That's where then, if I'm using the old box model, I would want to take the 20 pixels out of the widths. Does that make sense? Right? I'm going to go back to the I'm going to go back to this. All right, so now I don't have to take that 20 pixels out of the width. It can just be width of 620, right? Okay. In other words, when, whoops, did you see what happened there?
Just add a color to the HTML on body.
So if would you say add a color? Aqua, sure, why not? Right? Well, let's actually do this. Not what I want, because it's the whole body tag.
What is it that you want to be aqua?
Just the, so if I, let's do this.
Why don't you make a
Why don't I just do what I'm trying to do, please?
button?
So if we take a look at the body tag, right? On the body tag, right? If I turn box sizing border box off, it is adding 20 pixels left and right because of the box model. If I turn box sizing border box on, it's not adding the 20 pixels. Does that make sense? According to the box model? Okay, so I am then going to, and we should all start doing this actually as a CSS reset. a lot of my older, well, let's say it like this, all my websites I've created before I really discovered this property out of Bootstrap. So I only use box sizing border box on images on a lot of my stuff, so that when I am saying 100% and I have padding and borders on the image, it's not 100% plus padding and borders. The padding border is incorporated into the 100% width. Does that make sense? Okay. So moving on. Great. Now we have our. So let's then also say font family. Arial. Oh, look. Helvetica. Sans serif. Why am I doing this? Why am I declaring Arial, then Helvetica, then sans serif? What's going on?
I can't find the font.
We're going to declare Arial to start out with. And this is kind of old, actually, right? Let's just get rid of Helvetica, because Macs now have Arial on them. I doubt anybody has a Mac that doesn't have Arial on it. In other words, Helvetica was licensed to the Macintosh operating system. I don't know how it all went down. Microsoft, I don't think, was able to license Helvetica, or didn't want to pay the fee. So they created Arial. They designed Arial as a knockoff of Helvetica. Does everybody know that? Arial is a knockoff of Helvetica? Yeah. Yay. Let's now also, I need to go back to Illustrator here and figure out swatches. Where's my gray? What's my hex color? Here's my hex color for that gray. And again, I'm not doing the black and red. I'm just going to do everything in that kind of gray. The black and red is too. Yeah. You can quote me on that. What did Mike say? It's too. Color. Is this a good review for WEB110 type stuff for you guys?
Yes, I need this.
Good. Color. That's what I figured. At least some people need this review. Right. So let's now size the SVG. And this is where what I did the other day was, when I was futzing with this, let's say it like this. On my H1, font size 36 pixel over line height 36 pixel. Don't forget your closing curly or your closing semicolon there. Right. 36. Was it 36? No, we'll just leave it. What did I do on my other one? Let's see. Inspect. H1. Oh, H2. That's what it is. That's why it wasn't. H1, I don't need that. Well, let's do 48. Because if the type, if the logo doesn't appear. So H2 Fonts, size, 36 pixel, line height, 36 pixel. Again, notice that I'm using the ratio of 1:1, right? On my headlines in body copy, or on my headlines for size to leading, okay? H3. Font size. Next one down. $24. 24 pixel over line heights. 24 pixel paragraph and LIs then, because I haven't put in any LIs, but I will get there in a minute. Font size, 16 pixel over, what's my, if I'm doing the 2/3 rule, what did I say was going to be my line height? Huh? 24. 24 pixel, right? So now things should start shaping up. Right? What's missing?
You're letting between paragraphs, between headings,
What do you call that?
spacing,
No, spacing before and after. Okay. I also want to clean up the my H1. Let's do this. Yeah. Border bottom 1 pixel solid. Then on my logo, right? And I can do one of two things. I can make this an ID and call it logo if I want to, right? So I'm going to do that, ID logo. You guys gotten to IDs in WEB110 yet? Yeah? Okay. Logo. Max width. Let's try 300 pixels for now, right? Do I need to do anything else? I might need to put a margin bottom on it. See how it looks. I don't need to put a margin bottom on it, but let's do 2 pixels solid for that border bottom. There we go. All right. So for my H1, for space after, I'm going to use margins. All right. So margin bottom, I'll just do 10 pixels. Should I do 20 on this one? This is the scientific method called eyeballing it. Right. On my paragraph and list item tags, actually, I don't want to do, I'm going to actually segregate these. Because I want some different stuff on my paragraph and list items. So on my paragraph tags, margin bottom, 10 pixels, not on my list items. I don't want 10 pixels on my list items. Remember that I want on my OL and UL tags, margin, bottom, 10 pixels. Don't have any OL. Let's go put some list items in now. Let's see, where should I put them? Let's do this. Let's give you that. Give you closing P tag there, not capital P tag. Oops. Get rid of that P tag. I am going to here do an OL. Sorry, UL. X. Paste. OI. It's fun watching me type, isn't it? Totally. So bad. Why are the bullets on the outside? They default to the outside. Now you could use position the bullets inside, but every time I've done that, I've gotten really weird results. So typically what I do instead is on the UL and OL and ULs. What?
The style type.
No, I want the bullets there for now, right? I'm going to say padding 20, 0, meaning left and right 20, top and bottom 0. Actually, I think I do 40, but let's just do 20 for now. Not top and bottom. That's not what I want. Right. There we go. All right, so we have now on our paragraphs, our bottom, margin bottom 10, right? On our H tags, H2 and H3, we can do margin bottom. I typically like doing 4 pixels, right? All right, and so now let's show you the space before sob story, right? So if on my H2s, and my H3s, right? I put a border around those 2 elements. Okay? You can see that there is the margin bottom, right? So if I exaggerate the margin bottom for now, let's just do 20, just to really exaggerate it, right? You can see that there's the 20 pixels of space there, right? Let's move that to 10 for demo purposes. Okay, so now if I want space before, let's say I do the same thing. Use margins on the top. Oh, what happened? Why is there no more space on the top there? Ooh, you can disable collapsing margins? Yeah, I don't want to do that. Who thinks collapsing margins are a good thing? Right. I've never, like, why? What the? Why? If I have a margin bottom and a margin top that meet each other, the margin bottom from the preceding element wins. Why? Makes no sense. So therefore, then, instead of margin top, I would use padding top. So that's how I get the space on top there, right? And I am then going to say padding top 10, margin bottom, let's just change it to 4. 4, and padding top, I'm going to do, I think I usually do 8. That's what I do. Doesn't necessarily matter. But there we go. That looks a little bit better. Okay. So, couple last things. We're not going to get to the @font face today. We'll do that on Thursday because we have, this is where this class needs to be longer for me to do all these demos. So it's being changed to a 4-credit class from 3. So I'll have more time. So what I'll do then is, let's say it like this. Let's convert some of this stuff to responsiveness now. So if we've turned our responsive thing on, and I go to an iPhone 5, what's the deal? Why does it look funny? In other words, why isn't the text going all the way out?
There's a max width.
There's a max width of 620, so why, if I look at it in a device simulator, is the text not going all the way out to the edges?
Yeah, just it's responsive, so it will calculate what those parameters would be.
But why isn't it working? If I looked on my phone, if I looked on my phone or my iPad, it would look like this.
Is it
You're
not
not
supposed to look like that?
Because we have margin on it.
Huh?
Because we have margin on it for the body.
Is it because of the padding?
If you go to, I don't need that, about page, let's see, schedule. If you go to my HCD 532 class,
I don't think I understand the question.
you will. Make your websites responsive. Let me give you a hint. Why is the text not going all the way out to the edge of the device?
You didn't.
Is it because of the all?
Wait, can I see,
media?
can you scroll down in your style sheet?
I don't need to.
Your contact.
Is it because of the media all thing?
text
There's no minimum.
Align is not fit all or whatever.
Step 1, place the viewport meta tag. I don't have the viewport meta tag in there. I'm short on time, so I'm just going to copy that. You want to copy that one too? That's one of the things I'll let you copy and paste. Right? So I need to tell it to adhere to viewports on devices. Okay? So now that I've done that, now it looks for the viewport and goes, so now I have my page, right? Did I give a max width to my logo? I did, didn't I? So if I go responsive, did I do it? Well, I just, I did, okay. Does that make sense? Don't forget your viewport meta tag. Who knows what the viewport meta tag is? Who does not?
I just saw it for the first time.
That was the first time you saw it?
I can't say
First
I
time
know
saw
what it is, but
viewport.
I
I've
know.
seen meta tags, but.
Okay. So your viewport, so what I would do is, as well as these being lectures for my UW class, all my HCD 532 stuff is how you build a website. Go take a look at those, right? So make your website responsive, right?
What are you teaching?
This class, which is basically compressed 110, 120 for master's level students.
Is there a web program in UW?
No. But this is the technical part of the, so all the videos are here if you want to watch them.
It's like a master's certificate or something.
No, it's for the master's program, but if they're expected to know HTML and CSS and web development stuff for a certain class that they have to take. If they don't have those prerequisite skills, they have to take this class in order to, right? So this is a prereq class, right? For them. So placing your viewport meta tag. The next thing that we want to do is we want to make our typography responsive, okay? So for the longest time, I've thought to myself, right, well, why can't I just leave things in pixels? My type isn't going to resize, right? But it is proper when you are going to responsive to convert your typography to using M's. Specifically, if you look at this one article, why M's? Down at the bottom, it talks about icons, right? You're going to use image icons, right? You want them to size those icons to adhere to the whatever that thing is telling you, right? What I know is just start using M's. So what we need to do is start converting then our pixels to M's. Let's see if we can do this in 5 minutes. So the first thing that I want to start out with is I want to declare the M square, right? So if I look in the Ethan Markup book, how many of you know what I'm talking about? I'm going to take that lack of an answer as no, I don't know what you're talking about, Mike. This book. This is where I learned to do responsive design from, okay? So if you look in that book, what it then tells you to do is set your m-square. So if I set in my body tag font size to 100%, my m-square is now set to what translates into 16 pixels. Okay? So therefore now, if I want my H1 to be set off the m-square, right? How do I transfer 48 pixels to m's? Where's my calculator?
Would you do 48 divided by, I don't know, what's the width for that?
Right? So I want to then say 48 divided by 16 equals 3 m's. H2, 36 divided by 16 equals 2.25 EMs. H3, 24 divided by 16 equals 1.5 EMs. My P tags and my list items, 16 divided by 16, 1M. 1M. What about for my line height? How does line height work?
You're not divided the same way.
Because line height now, once you convert it to being a relative unit from a fixed unit, this relative unit is going to be then based off of this relative unit. So if I said line height here,
You
right?
set it to the same.
If I said 1 EM, right, it's going to be 3 EMs over 1 EM, meaning it's going to look exactly the same. So what I typically do, however, though, for line height, I typically use percentages. I don't know why. I just do. So if I want, 36 over 36, I can either do 1 EM, which is basically, for some reason, if by calling that out as 100%, I'm saying 100% of 2.25 EMs, right? So it's tempting to say font size, 2.25 EMs, line height, 2.25 EMs, right? That makes kind of sense in your head, right? It's not how it works as far as I understand. See what I'm saying? It's basically saying 2.25 of 2.25 of 100%. So 16, 2.25 is 16 is 36. 2.25 of 36 is 60 something, 70, whatever the math is, right? Does that make sense? So therefore, if that's the case, doing it like that just trips me up all the time. So I'm a fan of then saying for line height, let's just go with percentages, 100%, right? So if I want it 16 over 24, that's then 16 over 24, right? 16 over, so 1 over 1.5. Does that make sense? That's, again, just my style. You can get people to argue with me all day long. What about padding? So let's just go now and preview this. Yay. What about now stuff like padding top, margin bottom?
Don't have an answer. I have a question for you. Does this prevent you from doing your different responsive breakpoints from having to recalculate all those sizes? Can you then?
Well, in type, right? In other words, type is not going to flex like an image. It's just going to wrap. So I think the answer to your question is no, right? Does that make sense? So now here, you can convert these units to relative units if you want. However, nothing changes vertically. The vertical units stay the same. So therefore, you know, people might yell at me, people might argue with me. I just leave my padding top and my margin bottom the same. Because when it comes to vertical real estate, we're still in a fixed world, right? In other words, it doesn't, you know, we're still going to have that same size afterwards. Does that make sense? Maybe it doesn't, but that's typically what I do. Okay, so we're running over just a little bit here today. We didn't get to the @font face stuff. We'll get to that on Thursday. But basically what I just laid out for you is the process that you need to go through from converting your specifications from your Illustrator document to your HTML document. Okay? Again, very important to me. Type your shit out. Right? How come I can type all that stuff out pretty fast?
Practice.
It's not even practice, it's repetition. Right? It's just doing it over and over and over and over again. Right? That's the only way you guys are going to get good at coding, especially when it comes to programming. You're not going to get good at programming by copying and pasting other people's work. Right? You're not going to get good at HTML and CSS by copying and pasting somebody else's code. Now, yeah, so Emilio, what you're saying is, yeah, if I typed something out once and I copied and pasted that, sure, that's saving time. That's kind of what you mean, right?
Correct.
Right,
Because I typed it out myself.
right. Is he being sarcastic? Are you being snarky?
No, I said right, because I typed it out myself.
There was a little snark in that tone. You didn't quite get- Anyway, right? You know,
It's hard to read.
Sometimes. It's the Cuban. Because whether immigrating is out.
okay, so we'll get to @font face then on Thursday and finish up. How should we close out? For those people that aren't here, should I add an extra assignment on? I should.
In some way, shape, or form.
Some way, shape, or form? One way, shape, or form?
Some way, shape, or form.
Hey, Janine, what do you think the extra assignment should be? Just pick something randomly.